2024 will go down as one of the most controversial and one of the biggest moments in hip-hop history. Definitely one of the best years in hip-hop history. And of course, that is mainly because of the beef between Kendrick and Drake. But today, we want to take the time to declare who do we think was the best rapper of 2024. And was it a clear-cut winner, or was it a lot closer than people think? Welcome back to the Voiceovers Podcast. I'm 24K Logan.
Can't run it, going, man.
All right, man. So I'm going to let you start it off. Who was the best rapper of 2024? Who was the hip-hop MVP of 2024?
I mean, it's obviously going to end up being between the big three or whatever. And with that said, you know, you got their highlights. You know, obviously you got the beef. And then it's like, oh, who won the beef? Then you think about that. But then you think about J. Cole. I feel like he was more...
the middle child.
You could say that, or just shadowed because of the Kendrick and Drake beef. But whole time, I will say that Might Delete Later was a pretty good album this year. So in terms of actual what I like, I will give it to J. Cole.
Okay. So as a big J. Cole fan, I would say that the MVP for hip hop of 2024 would be Kendrick Lamar. And I think that's mainly because he had the biggest moment. Between the beef and also dropping GNX out of nowhere. GNX was a very big deal. It still is. I think it's going to be one of the most replayed albums of 2024. Not just for hip hop, but just for music in general. And we see what is coming up for the year 2025 with Kendrick Lamar. However, I think when we're talking about technical skill, the use of entendres, lyrical ability, complex rhyme schemes, clever wordplay, I would give that to J. Cole without question. With all respect to Kendrick, I would give that to J. Cole. And I say that because you look at J. Cole's verse on something like Pie featuring Dalit and Abby Soul. Or you think about his verse on Ruby Rosary. Yeah, Ruby Rosary. I'm sorry. Yeah, you think about that verse. And a plate of collard greens, again featuring Dalit, which is arguably his best verse of the entire year. And not to mention, as you mentioned, Might Delete Later. And I have it as a top 5, definitely a top 10 hip-hop project of 2024. And so with that being said, I think if we're talking moment, popularity, and overall what they did in 2024, the MVP would be Kendrick Lamar. If we're talking just pure technical skills, it's J. Cole. And that was a very big debate on Twitter last week. Who was the better rapper this year between Kendrick and Cole?
That's what I post.
When you say better rapper, it's such a broad statement. Because again, you can say the better rapper in technicalities and skills was Cole. But who was the greater rapper based off of what they did this year, you can say Kendrick. What's your take on that?
Not like us, what is that? I think it's near 1 billion streams by now, right? Or
yes.
Yeah, okay, so, and that's you're seeing more of that nowadays. Like songs blow up, break out, and then they hit 1 billion before you even know it. That's crazy to say on its own right there. And this is extremely controversial, but when he got the Super Bowl performance for next year,
yes,
that's kind of crazy because throughout all the years of history that you've seen artists, you know, and don't get me wrong, he's one of the best artists of all time, best rappers of all time, and artists, if you want to include that. But it was crazy how, like, you know, the beef's out, you know, he has a big song, and then he gets Super Bowl performance. I've seen the outrage between all of that, you know, so
it adds to it. And yeah, I think that's why I say Kendrick is the MVP because, again, technical skill, I'm giving it to Cole, but Kendrick hit the moment that he had for 2024. The beef was already the biggest moment. But then for him to be announced as the headlining act of the Super Bowl, that upped it up more. Then he dropped GNX out of nowhere, and we see the buzz that GNX has been getting. Plus, he announced the tour with him and SZA, starting, I believe, April of 2025. So all of that, again, it adds to the moment. Like, I think when we look back on it, 2024 will be remembered as the year of Kendrick Lamar.
You could say that, yeah. And then, might, like how you say you're Kendrick Lamar, people might end up saying it's his best year. Heavily debatable. I mean, on GNX, you got songs like Luther, which I love that song, by the way.
Yeah.
Heart 6, Whacked Out My Murals. I'm in it, like, if you hear it
Whacked
in the car.
Out Murals and Reincarnated.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like Gloria.
Yeah. And when you just in the car and you just hearing Whacked Out Murals, the beat just, I'm like, dang, that's what made me like the album so much.
When you talk about the best rapper of a particular year, where do you rank Kendrick? Well, you said J. Cole. But
in terms of what I like, it's more of I don't want to even say a bias, but it could be, because then I don't want to go so much off topic, but you talk about Might Delete Later. Mm-hmm. You got songs like HYB, Hunting Wabbits, Crocodile Tears, Ready 24, which we love that song, by the way.
Yes.
So, you take that into consideration. It's like, well, I did personally like this a little more, so I'm throwing some bias in here.
But when we talk about Kendrick, of course, even if you do say that J. Cole was the better rapper or even the MVP, I think there's no debate that Kendrick was the biggest rapper or the most popular rapper of 2024.
Yeah.
Where do we rank his year in 2024, or do we compare it to, say, Pac in 96, Big in 97, 50 in 03 when he dropped Get Rich Die Trying, Jay-Z in 2001 when he dropped The Blueprint? Do we compare Kendrick in 2024 to those guys' years? Because those were some of the greatest years in hip-hop as well, at least for those particular rappers.
Whoever's watching this, if you were alive during that time, you could fairly easily answer that question. For me, I mean, that was the time when CDs were being sold, and it was crazy for record sales to go so high. That's why rappers back then had more pure sales versus nowadays on the streaming era. So, there's a popularity thing on that aspect. Comparison, I mean, okay, it's kind of crazy how, like, they were just dropping songs at random times. They didn't have, like, oh, my single's coming out Friday. They just dropped something and he like, you know what, I'm dropping this tomorrow or later that night. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that, because back then, somebody dropped a song midnight or whatever, then I had to go to the record store.
Yeah, that never happened. I mean? You knew what date it was going to come out.
Yeah.
There was a lot of promotion. And that's the thing. I mean, Kendrick didn't really promote GNX. I mean, yeah, you can say the beef, already upped his popularity, but he didn't really promote GNX. Like, none of these songs, Squabble Up might have been the only anticipated song because, of course, at the beginning of Not Like Us, you hear the snippet, and a lot of people were wondering. Plus, they, I think in basketball games, they played the snippet of Squabble Up. A lot of people were wondering, would that be an actual song? And then indeed, when we get GNX, you get your answer. Talking about Kendrick's year in 2024, comparing it to, say, 50 in 03, Jay-Z in 01, Pac in 96, Big in 97. Those guys dropped some of the greatest albums in hip-hop history. And while I do think that GNX is going to age gracefully, especially considering the moment that was before it or what transpired before it, I don't think right now at this moment in time we could put GNX in the same convo as All Eyes on Me, Machiavelli, Life After Death, Blueprint, Get Rich Die Trying.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the gray area when comparing Kendrick's year to those guys.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of popularity, Kendrick would definitely have it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like the crazy thing, because notice how we done mentioned the big three this video. We ain't talking much about other rappers this year. Now, you take that into consideration, yeah, we could have been listening to whatever drops, the day it drops or whatever. But you really think about it, he really like sparked it this year. Because notice how when they was dropping diss tracks, some other people was dropping little random diss tracks, Like the Chris Brown Quavo one, that's like the people call it the undercard. It's like they heavily overshadowed everything. He's more like a trendsetter or a pioneer to this year in terms of year, like this beef and all this stuff,
Exactly. But I mean, all in all, you can say Kendrick, you can say J. Cole, You could even say Future. I mean, Future did drop 3 projects this year.
Yeah.
We gotta give some respect to Future. And some people will say Drake because some people believe Drake won the beef. So I mean, there's different opinions. I guess the safe answer or the more popular answer would be Kendrick. But we both agree that J. Cole is giving him a run for his money this year.
And
just off of skill.
Yeah, and another thing, that's crazy how it's more like a snowball effect or a little domino effect or a butterfly effect in this aspect. Like, this man, Drake, you know, they got together for First Person Shooter. Apparently Kendrick was supposed to be on the song. He didn't do it. They drop it. J. Cole talks about he feels like Muhammad Ali in the Big 3 line. It's like, oh, shoot. And then Future and Metro, because they was teasing that album for like a month at that point, I think. You know, they was teasing it or whatever.
We knew it was coming.
And it was a hidden feature, but we didn't know Kendrick Lamar was going to be. As soon as you called me up, he was like, hey, yo, Kendrick on the song or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, go play it. I'm like, okay.
And then you heard what he said.
And then I'm like, oh, shoot.
That added to his moment, bro.
Yeah. And then we pull out. I seen him later that week for because Dreamfest was coming the next week. That was around April.
Yep.
And that's when J. Cole had dropped his thing, and he had his iconic 7-minute drill diss track. So that whole weekend, we thinking, oh shoot, we about to see some crazy beef this year. Now, obviously, we did, but we thought J. Cole was gonna be more involved in it. And this is a funny story because I do want to tell them that story about the Benny the Butcher story.
Oh God.
That was such a funny story. So that whole week we were predicting, oh, who's gonna come out there? And we were like, yo, Drake might actually come out there. So we sitting there at the Dreamfest concert. And then J. Cole's up there. He's like, this next artist right here, he a dog.
We thought it was Drake.
We instantly thought Drake. Everybody was like, oh, it's Drake.
He was like, nah, not that dog, nigga. Not that dog, nigga.
That was a funny story. I was like,
Cole pump faked us that night.
Yeah. So then, Benny the Butcher came out with John P. Scotty, which is another good song. I might add.
Shout out to Benny the Butcher.
Yeah, but it's little things like that. You know, there's anticipation. You're expecting, oh, damn, when Drake gonna come back for it? So then I think that's when the AI diss track came out. I think, and then what was it? Euphoria? Then Not Like Us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Or yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, man, Kendrick, Future, Cole, Drake, whoever y'all think the rap MVP was of 2024, which I know a lot of y'all are gonna say Kendrick. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. Do you think whoever the runner-up was? Do you think it was close between them and whoever y'all think was MVP? Or do you think it was a clear-cut winner in MVP for hip-hop in 2024? Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, this video will be released at this point. We're at the very end of 2024 or the last full week of 2024. I want to thank everybody that's been rocking with us this year. All our new subscribers. We've got some big things coming in 2025. Stay tuned. Y'all will be finding out about that very soon, so stay tuned.
Hey, subscribe if you want to find out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, hit the notification bell.
If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We have plenty of content on the way for you guys. God bless y'all. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace and love to everybody.